Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Thursday morning. This is Thursday Morning Live, and I'm Mike Morawski. Appreciate you being here this morning. Hey, if you are new to the broadcast, please go tell somebody about it and have them join us. We are on Facebook this morning, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So if you're out on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. We will be bringing you relevant content daily. Now, if you have a comment this morning or you have a question, make sure that you use the comment box and get that question there for us. We'll get it answered for you. I'm excited about my guest this morning. Again, another local Chicago entrepreneur, right? He's in the real estate space. And I always say anybody who's in the real estate business is actually an entrepreneur, because when you have your own business, you got to work a little bit harder. And I know a lot of people listening in this morning are, entrepreneurs working towards building a business, designing a life for themselves, and moving forward. So hopefully we'll give you some encouragement this morning and help you on your way. I just would like to say that this show this morning is brought to you by My Core Intentions. If you're in the property management space, if you're in the multifamily or real estate space, and you're an owner operator looking for some guidance in property management, we're in a changing market. And as this market changes, how do we provide more revenue to our bottom line? How do we create value in our properties? Well, join me next week on Thursday, the 18th, and we will not be here Thursday morning next week because we're doing our boot camp. But it's a property management boot camp, virtual boot camp all day, starts at 9 a.m. Central Time. So I know that there'll be a lot of information. It's going to be action-packed all day. We'll go to probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I will look forward to seeing you there. You can register at mycoreintentions.com/management to get a ticket for that event. And I'll look forward to seeing you there. All right, this morning I am joined by Frank Martinez at KW Commercial, and I am excited about Frank. He's been in the real estate space for a number of years. I've learned a lot from Frank about the Chicago market. If you know me, you know I'm not a big Chicago investor. I'm not a big Chicago guy, but I like to hear what other people's insights are about it. So let me bring Frank in. Let's talk with him today, see what he has to say about Chicago, products in Chicago, and the market. Frank, good morning.
Morning, Mike. How you doing? Thank you for having me.
Good, man. You're on the road already this morning.
Yeah.
Huh? In the car, got the suit and tie on, everything, ready to rock and roll, aren't you?
Yes, definitely. Early bird gets the worm.
Hey, listen, one thing I ask all my guests whenever I start one of these shows is, in what one word, what best describes you personally and professionally?
I would say loyalty.
Okay.
Because I believe that the way I operate my business is three main functions. Basically, you got to be a person of professionalism, integrity. Number one. Number two, be a man of your word, and number three, be easy to do business with. Everything else falls underneath that. But I'm very loyal to my clients. I'm always looking out for the best interest. And if I do that, then I win as well. So my client has to win first before I can win.
Yeah, I always say that if you are negotiating a deal and it's not a win-win situation and one person walks away feeling like they got the upper hand, it's not a good deal. It's never going to turn out well.
No, I mean, if one of the parties feels that they got the short end of the stick, they may not proceed with the deal. Right along the way, you might have problems, and all of a sudden they say, "You know what? I'm out," because they feel like they're getting screwed. Unfortunately, so
yeah, for sure,
yeah.
For sure. Well, listen, I'm glad that you're here this morning. I know you've had a busy morning already. Why don't you give a little background about yourself, who you are, what you do, where you're at?
Sure. So growing up, basically, my father owned different businesses: a grocery store, a restaurant, multifamily apartments, and a gas station. So I kind of grew up in all those businesses doing different things. Then fast forwarding, I got my undergraduate degree in hospitality management. I guess that's where the service part of me comes from, right? Being in the businesses that I was in, and my degree. So I do like to help people. And then I started getting into financing. So I was in financing for 14 years. Then I decided, hey, people are investing and making money in real estate. So back in 2003 and 4, I got educated in, renovating properties and fixing flipping, as they call it, redevelopment. So I got into that. And then eventually 2008 got into apartments, got educated in that. So I've done a little, and then I got into brokerage business. So, I got financing experience, I got redevelopment experience. I've owned multifamily, so I understand what it is to be an investor. And I know it is to find deals, underwrite deals, do the research. And then that's the brokerage side of me, the investment side. On the commercial side, I specialize in multifamily is what's helped me throughout my career. So
You feel that multifamily is the best space to be in right now?
well, multifamily has a very low correlation, and so does actually self-storage, even lower. So when the times are good and bad, those are great asset classes to have, right? The hotel's been kind of an up and down. It's going really well for a while. Hotels, have difficulties. Some lenders are not lending on hotels right now. And then office, it's made a little bit of a comeback, right? There's still a little ways to go, but again, it also depends on the area that you're in. So, for example, here in Chicago, one of the hottest it is the hottest market in Chicago, and one of the hottest markets in the United States is Fulton Market, right? So in Fulton Market, you got all kinds of asset classes there going up. You got apartments, you got offices, you got restaurants, you got boutique hotels. So it's kind of a unique environment, what's been created in Fulton Market. So it really depends on the area. And then, of course, industrial is another good one, especially with the light commercial, like, warehousing, which has been big around the country right now. They've been building a lot of industrial warehousing. So that's another good sector as well.
Why do you, so, you bring up an interesting point, and what makes that neighborhood pop like that right now? Why is Fulton Market so hot? Why is that the place that people want to go hang out, go to a restaurant, eat, live, work and play, right? What makes that about a neighborhood?
Well, a big thing is the alderman at first didn't really want to, he was fighting it, right? But then once they figured out that they needed to do something to kind of generate revenue and kind of increase the because basically that area was really meat packing companies, right, in the area, and my uncle actually had one on Fulton Street, so I grew up going in that neighborhood, so I seen it transform.
Yeah.
And I think that what happened was they kind of figured out, hey, if the politicians figured out to get out of the way, right, and let's see what happened. So they kind of tested it to see what would happen. So all of a sudden, Randolph Street started developing, which is part of Fulton Market, and then it started developing to the north to Fulton Market and everything in between there. So what happened was the dynamics of the developers taking the chance, right, of going in there, and the alderman finally became friendly and open to development, and now you have buildings that used to be 2 or 3 stories. Now they're building 24 and 33-story buildings,
Right.
which is unheard of, right? And what happened was, since everything is new, excuse me, the millennials, they like that, right? So everything there is pretty much new, right? They've taken some of these old warehouse buildings and they made them into lofts and condos and apartments. There's a lot of new construction. So all of a sudden it just became a ripple effect, and it just started expanding. And a lot of the companies were moving in there because the square footage that they were getting was cheaper than it was in the central business district. So it was just like everything came together to make the perfect storm, as they say. So all the cylinders were firing, and it just started expanding more and more and more. And it's still not. I mean, they're breaking records per square foot over there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Rents as well. Yeah.
So as an investor, if you wanted to say or try and pinpoint, hey, this is the next market, this is the next place that we should go try and find a building in. How do you judge that? How would you even begin to look and say this is then where we should go next?
Whenever you look at a new market, definitely the politics and the ordinances of the environment make a big difference, right? Second thing is, are companies moving into the area, right? Jobs, right? So what I would do is I would probably call the director of economic development or the village manager if it's a smaller town, and find out what is their 5-year plan, right? And see if they're making any types of investments, right? And if they say, Oh, we plan on doing, some investments on, Main between, you know, Smith Street and John Street along Main Street. Well, I wouldn't really start right away investing. I would wait to see what they're going to do because they will say that they will do a lot of things and they never do anything. So you
Yeah.
have to wait till they actually do something, right? Put your money where your mouth is. So see if they actually do break ground and start like putting, new landscapes along the street, new lighting, see if they put some kind of investment in the area, right? Then I would definitely consider doing something in that area because now, they're doing what they're saying they're going to do. But if they, a lot of municipalities say they're going to do something, they never do it, right?
Mhm.
So that's number one. And then so what the 5-year plan is and find out, what are any companies expanding? Are any companies coming in? Right? Because jobs are what dictates, the business, right? And the other thing too is you want to look at, what's the market profile, right? What percentage of renters versus home ownership is there in that area, right?
Yeah.
Because you want a healthy mix, right?
When you talk about jobs and business coming in, when you look at Google came to that market, to that neighborhood, on Fulton Market neighborhood, you've got McDonald's that built their or moved out of Oak Brook and moved all their corporate headquarters down there. So there's a lot of big companies that have taken up space in that neighborhood, which also I think drives some of that traffic.
Right. And here's another thing too is when you start seeing not just the Starbucks popping up or the Whole Foods, you start seeing Blue Mercury and other Lululemon, and you see all these other retail shops popping up in that area. That kind of shows you a sign that hey, they've done their research, right? So you want to follow the retail company, see where are they going, right? Because they have massive research marketing departments that determine where they want to put their stores, right? And they have, A, B, and C stores depending on the location, right? And obviously A is higher traffic and C is lower traffic, right? So that's another thing I would look for.
Yeah, I always say this goes back to the underwriting process, the due diligence process. You have to know early on what that market, and not just the whole market, but the sub market, right? And like Chicago, there's 78 different neighborhoods, 78 submarkets, and every one of those markets has a different story and a different flair that you can provide for other people. What any good deals in Fulton Market right now?
Well, in Fulton Market, a lot of people think, oh, it's overpriced. Okay, well, what are you comparing it to?
Yeah.
Right? Because if the market keeps going up, right, everybody thinks, well, eventually it's going to come down or slow down. Yeah, every market does, but right now, Fulton Market. I'll give you an example. Hyde Park is another area in Chicago, right? It's in the South Side, very much higher income. It's the highest income area, let's say in South Side Chicago, right? Hyde Park. And I've looked at the research of Hyde Park and all the rents, for example, even in 2008, when we had the 9, 10 real estate debacle, rents kept going up, right, in Hyde Park. So it depends on the area. Some areas will be stronger. I'll give you an example. Nashville, when we lost, when a lot of the parts of the country were losing 25-50% equity, right? I looked at numbers in Nashville; they only lost like 3%. So they weren't hit as hard as Chicago, New York. Basically the coastal cities are the ones that get the hit the hardest, fastest, right? But they also recuperate faster. In the Midwest, we got hit, but we got hit slower and we recuperated slower, right? So it really depends on the market. But at Fulton Market, for example, like I said, I don't see that really stopping anytime soon. There's more cranes right now
Yeah.
in Fulton Market that I've ever seen in my entire life in any city. I mean, there's multiple cranes
Yeah.
right now in Fulton Market. So it's not stopping anytime soon. And even with an economic downturn, yeah, it might slow down some of the pricing a little bit, but the activity won't slow down.
That's funny. I did a post the other day. I took a picture early morning. I was out working out, and I took a picture of the skyline with all these cranes in front of the skyline and the sun coming up. I did a post, and right now in this country, there's a housing shortage. They actually say if you delivered, or I've heard it said that there's more cranes and temporary fences in major cities around the country than there's ever been. And if you delivered all the product that's being built right now to the marketplace, we'd still have a housing shortage.
Well, here's the problem with the housing shortage. I've done some research on that. There are countries around the world that have no housing shortage, and the
Right.
reason is because the government gets in the way. I'll give you an example. You want to create affordable housing, right? But the government, to do a tax credit program on some of these affordable housing programs, it takes a year just to get the approval, minimum. In some cases, that's the tax credit number 4%. If you do the 9%, because that's a rolling 9%, will take you 2 years. So it would take you anywhere from 3 to 5 years to create, like say, 150 units of affordable housing. That's the problem in the government, and I don't care if that's the federal all the way down to the local. The local level, the permitting process, and the building codes have swung the pendulum from one end to the other extreme. Right? They need to bring it back so that it becomes more feasible, makes more economic sense for developers or redevelopment people, to do that, to create affordable housing. So really, the government is the issue. That's the honest, God, the truth.
Yeah.
Whether people want to admit it or not, or the government. So they need to get out of the way, make better, easier, more common sense decisions on affordable housing issues and ordinances and rules. And I can guarantee we can solve that problem, because there's countries out there that don't have that problem.
Yeah.
Why we do? Why do we have it? Right? So
yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely a big debate, that's for sure. Hey, Frank, I know that you started a group in the city here, a meetup, a networking group. Why don't you talk about that group a little bit?
Sure. So here in Chicago, we have a lot of the local groups. Rogers Park Builders Group, Southside Community Investors Association, Southside Builders Group. Group. I mean, there's several. So anyways, what happened was there's like a mother umbrella called the Neighborhood Builders Owners Alliance, that all the different affiliate, all the local groups got together. This is like 15 years ago now, and that's kind of like our advocacy arm, our arm to kind of all of us come together and collaborate on best practices and what we could do to increase and make housing better for everybody. So we are the 9th affiliate that joined this group a year ago. It's called the Latino Real Estate Investors Council. We do have a website, basically our initials, so it's www.lreic.org, so alric.org. And the idea behind it was there's a lot of these community groups that help investors, and we noticed that my background, I'm first American born in my family here in Chicago, born and bred, love the United States, very patriotic. And my background, my parents are Cuban, and my father escaped from Cuba in '63, came to this country, self-made man, blah blah blah. So, anyways, so we noticed that for the Latino community, there wasn't anywhere for them to really kind of feel comfortable that they can get some answers to help them, right? To create, grow, and generational wealth in real estate investing. And as you know, there's a lot of tradespeople that are Latinos, and they might own a 4-unit and they want to go to 10, 20, or they might own 20 units and they want to go to 100 or 500, whatever it may be. So we created this association, and it's not just for Latinos, it's for anybody, but we're trying to also help the Latino community to be a resource for them when they need to, hey, how do I do leases properly? How do I manage properly, or how do I find a property management company? How do I run it properly, right? How do I take care of the tenants? So A to Z. So we want to be a resource for them, so that way they have somebody to go to, and it's been very well. We have quarterly breakfasts, and every quarter we've had 2 of them, and it's doubled in size. We had like 30 plus people at the last one, and it was phenomenal. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I'd love to see when your next one is and come out to that and see what you guys are doing. So let me know when that is. Frank, if I wanted to just ask a little bit about warehouse space. I know industrial's been a pretty hot product, as well as multifamily is. You seeing any good industrial buildings? Because I'll tell you what, there's 2 things on my bucket list. One would be to buy a 2-story, 25,000 square foot warehouse in the city, in a neighborhood where things are starting to gentrify or close to gentrification. And, one of these old boutique hotels, small old boutique hotels. You seeing any of that product on the market or anything available?
Well, when it comes to, I would say, Okay, right now we're in a changing market right now, right? So we have the sellers that think their property is worth $1 million, and then we have the buyer that thinks it's worth 500,000, and it's probably
Right.
worth something in between, right? Okay, so right now, and I've seen these market shifts before. So there's a gap right now where we're transitioning right now, where prices are starting to adjust, right? And so the buyer's like, well, the market's changing. I'm not going to pay you, $800,000 for that property, right? And the seller's like, hey, I'm not selling for less than $1 million. I'll just keep it, right? So we're in that transition period right now. And I don't care what asset class you're looking at. So once we get past that, you're going to start seeing that the seller's going to be a little bit more realistic with the pricing. And then the buyers are going to feel like they can find some good deals, right? So I would say that when it comes to industrial self-storage and multifamily, those are the hottest three sectors, right? So those are the ones that might take a little bit longer for pricing to come down versus, let's say, office or hotel, for example, right? Because they got hit hard. So the sellers are going to be a little bit more realistic on those asset classes. So with industrial, like I said, everybody's hot to trot on that one. So it's kind of hard to find. I'm not that you can't. It's just you have to. Here's the other thing. I've talked to investors years ago where they had to look at 25 deals and find one. Then I got to 50. Then I got to 100 deals. Right? You got to look at 100 deals, 100 opportunities here, say, because a deal's not a deal until you negotiate it. But 100 opportunities to find one. Right? So that 101st is the one you find.
Yeah.
So they're out there, and they're out everywhere. I mean, Pilsen's another area that was hot to trot, but the alderman over there has kind of, here's the difference. People are worried about regentrification. Natural occurring regentrification is good, right? Meaning that it's just naturally happening, right? And so the politicians, some of them are getting the idea that, hey, natural occurring is okay because it's slowly, making the neighborhoods better, safer, and industrial's actually popping up everywhere in Chicago. It used to be like industrial corridors. Now you have it in Pilsen. You have it in different areas. So
Yeah.
really, it depends also, Mike, what you're looking for. You want to be next to an expressway, right? So like on the south side, off the Dan Ryan, for example, there's industrial warehousing over there. That's off the expressway. Along the I-88 corridor, like out in Warrenville, Naperville, all that corridor right there. There's also a lot of office industrial out there, right? Up in Waukegan area, they've done a lot of where Cardinal Health used to be. They did a lot of brand new construction, industrial warehousing out there. So it's kind of all over the place. It just really depends on your parameters of, do you want to be close to an expressway? What's going to be what is going to be your target tenant will determine like what area should I be in where I can attract those tenants.
What you're going to do with it, right?
Yeah.
Well, listen, very insightful, that's for sure. Funny how the time goes quick on this thing. Let me wind down here a little bit, ask you 3 bonus questions. Being that you're from Chicago, favorite tourist attraction?
Favorite tourist attraction? That's a good one. I always like the museums.
Okay.
Select a field museum science industry. I've always kind of liked those. And then, of course, if you want to be outside, it's Navy Pier.
Yeah, for sure. How about favorite restaurant?
Favorite restaurant? That's a good one. I would say it's Bavette's.
Where's Bavette's?
Bavette's is right near. It's right near Merchandise Mart on the north side of it. On what is that? It's not. It's Wells and it's off of Wells. Well, no, where the Merchandise Mart is.
Okay.
Off of Wells and the street that's behind that goes along the Merchandise Mart on the north side. Forgot what's that called.
Is that Illinois? Or
No.
Hubbard.
Wells runs north to south. Yeah.
Hubbard. Yeah.
Hubbard. Yeah. Over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm a steak guy, so I love steak, and they're incredible. I mean, that's a hard question because Chicago is a food town.
Right? I know, so right?
There's a lot of favorite restaurants.
You're in a good place. If you're a foodie, you're in a good place. Hey, what's the best book you've ever read, Frank?
Best book. You know what? The best book I've read a lot of great books, and I love Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, right?
Yeah.
But there was a book that I read recently that was like a no nonsense, no BS, and it's Millionaire Underdog by J.T. Fox, and that's with double X.
Wow.
Millionaire Underdog, and he gives you the meat and potato from cover to cover, and it's all about business. It's not just about real estate investing. It's just about life and business and the reality, because he's a no BS type of guy. And unfortunately, in this society, some people, you know, they twist the truth, or they don't know what they're talking about. But JT Fox, it's a great book, really is. I highly recommend it.
Nice. I'm gonna get it. I know JT. So, hey,
Yeah,
Frank, on this show, I love to have somebody new every week, somebody from Chicago. So if you know any business owners or you know any restaurateurs that would love to be interviewed, I'd love to have them on a Thursday morning. So and
sure.
anybody else who has any referrals or knows anybody, if you want to raise your hand, send me an email. Be more than happy to book a morning with you and have you on, talk about your business a little bit. You don't necessarily need to be in the real estate space. I'd actually almost like somebody who wasn't, and talk about other types of businesses and things like that. So we have some interesting guests coming up in the next couple of weeks that I think people will be, have a little twisted turn about some things that we're going to talk about. So the next few weeks are going to be interesting. Frank, thanks for being here this morning. I'm going to move you out to the back room for a minute. I'm going to say
Thank you for
goodbye.
having me.
How do people get a hold of you if they want to connect?
They can email me at frank at kwcommercial.com, or if they want to call me, they can reach out to me at 847-732-2388.
Perfect. Thanks for being here, Frank.
Thank
And
you
we will
again.
talk in a minute. Thanks.
It's been an honor. Thank you.
Hey, everybody, that was Thursday Morning Live. Thanks for being here today. And remember, we're here every week. Next Thursday, we won't be. Next Thursday is our property management boot camp, full day virtual event, starts at 9 a.m. If you are an owner, operator, property manager looking to create more revenue, drive value to your property, you won't want to miss this event. I will cover a full day full of ideas and thoughts that will help you increase your business and revenue. And like I mentioned to Frank, if you know anybody else who'd be a great guest on this Thursday Morning Live with me, please reach out to me. Let me know who that is so that I can connect and we can get you scheduled. Thanks, everybody. I hope you have a great week. Look forward to seeing you soon somewhere and our paths cross. Have a great day, everybody.